obviously the three guys playing there are inexperienced and still developing, but is part of the next step this team can take getting more consistent production, whether that's points, rebounds, defense without fouling, out of the center position?
Yeah, absolutely. I think our collective, just front court in general, needs has another level to get to, and it raises our ceiling tremendously. If they can get there. So was disappointed last game, and our efficiency in the paint. I thought we could have been more efficient, and then our offensive rebounding with Devin not being out there, and when he was not being full strength. I those two things were like we needed someone to step into those roles, and we didn't do it well enough. But I think the encouraging thing is we've shown an ability. I want to say we, that kind of collective unit, we've shown an ability to do it. That consistency is, we need that consistency now.
What does it take to then find that? When I guess the more of the question is when you guys are getting that efficiency in the paint, that offensive rebounding, what is happening and then what isn't happening when you don't get it?
Well, I think, part of offensive rebounding a lot of times is motor and physicality and stuff. But I think in general, when we're inefficient in the paint, we're sped up. We're playing too fast. Last night, for example, and when I was talking to those guys, like they don't have someone who's going to just go block your shot out of the air, right? Like take your time, play off 2 feet. You don't need to rush and try to beat someone to the rim because they're not a high shot blocking team. Like some other teams we may play where now you do have to race, the defender to the rim because of that presence. So I just thought we caught the ball, and now they do some things differently where they're shifting defenders over, and that caused us to play a little just sped up inside, even when we had some smaller defenders on us. So just playing with poise, I think, and slowing down a little bit.
How much do you think from where when we met with you media day, you talked about guards and the experience there, but maybe not so much with the front court. How much Aaron missing time, other guys you were just talking about, Austin on the radio show, how much has that hampered where you thought the development might be come mid-February or so at that point?
Yeah, I think, listen, I don't really believe in excuses necessarily, but there's a reality for in defense of those guys. There's a reality to just the when you don't get significant time consecutively, it slows down your growth. I mean, I think that's just natural, and we saw it. Like Sean missed almost an entire summer and part of the fall, and Aaron was out for a significant stretch, and then it's little things like Aaron hasn't been able to practice 2 days in a row for a stretch, and now hopefully we can get a couple days going into the next game. And Sean had the same thing. Sean, I thought, had a really good stretch until he missed the Illinois game, and was really doing some good things out there. So I think when you're younger and inexperienced, I think when you miss time, I think it's maybe more impactful than versus if you're a more experienced guy who's gone through it before. So that just kind of is what it is, though, right? There's nothing we can do about that. We just got to keep working day after day and try to, we need 2 good days of prep here. Like Washington's playing really well, another really good big man, one of the better big men in the league, and they got size, so we need those guys to play well. But I want them to play with confidence too. I think that's part of it. Play with confidence, but it's got to be on our terms offensively when we catch the ball in the paint. We don't need to play sped up, and I think the choppiness to their availability has impacted, their growth. I think that's fair to say.
When I've talked to fans about this team, one of the things that comes up a lot is obviously the front court. Aaron in particular, just because I think 7'1", people are pretty excited about what he might bring, and missing time obviously is a part of that. But where does he still need to go in your eyes to be I'm talking just this season, to be the player that he can be in the short term to help you guys, maybe even as you mentioned last week, along with Sean on the court?
Yeah, I think, for Aaron, what we want is, and Aaron, what I love about Aaron, he plays really hard. Like, he's out there, he's playing really, really hard. Again, got to slow down a little bit. I think some of his shot selection at times, because he's playing sped up. And he's got to be a great rim threat for us. And then I want him, when he's got time and space, I want him to look to be a threat for us on the perimeter. And then we rely on those guys to initiate action for us offensively. So, and I think they've done a pretty good job of that. What we're seeing now is teams commit right to our guards and ball screens and basically say, like, hey, make one of the other four guys make a play and read kind of the shifting defense. So we're seeing that at times. But Aaron can be I think he's got to rebound at a high level and be efficient, and he's done that some games, right? Like, you kind of look over the last, I don't know how many games, but you see a game where it's like, okay, that's more like it. Then maybe one not as much, then another one where it's like, yep, there it is again. That's what we need that consistency. And, again, like, I think if he can string together a few days here now in a row, we can hopefully get back to kind of more of those good moments, because like I told those guys, we need it. Like, we need it down the stretch, and they can do it. They've shown that they can do it, and we're really rolling if we can get 2, 3, 4 of those guys in that unit all playing at that level on the same night.
You were talking just a few minutes ago about pace, and you said something to the effect of, maybe I'd like us to play faster, but because of this team, I think we're playing it at the right pace for us. Why is this the right pace, and what would it take to play faster? Is that just a growth thing? Time? To get to your ideal situation, what would it take?
Yeah, well, I think just in general, kind of my philosophy is it's your job as a coach, right? And listen, when you're constructing a roster in the condensed time that you were doing this year, okay, I have in my mind maybe the perfect situation where I'd love to play, but I believe good coaches adjust their style to what fits their roster best and helps their guys be in position to succeed. So we have some guys playing heavy minutes right now. We're asking some guys to do a lot, both offensively and defensively, and we play tough defense, and so I don't know that the best thing for us, and as we've evaluated turnovers, which have been an issue for us, and shot selection at times, as we've evaluated, I don't know that playing faster is the answer. I think we need to find opportunities with our defense to create some earlier opportunity to be aggressive offensively. And I think you can see some games maybe pace increase or possession numbers increase if we're able to initiate some that way. But I also don't want us to I'm not really interested in us playing so slow where every single time down we're running a set and our guys are, I want our guys to play with confidence and aggressiveness. I think the mind is so critical in all of this. And if our guys, I don't want to just, I guess I'm saying, play fast to play fast. I want us to play fast with great intent. We talk all the time about pace with poise. Pace and poise. And so I think that's why I think we're doing that well right now. I think we're doing that pretty well. We're picking and choosing our spots. We're taking advantage when we can. It's not all we're not batting 1,000, right, at this. And maybe there's a couple possessions where I'm grabbing our guards, in film the next day and saying, hey, this is a possession we need to go here. We need to kind of don't look over at a go. That's where we need to take advantage. I also think we've had good possession numbers when our guards have rebounded better, lets us get out quicker. So I know that's a long-winded answer, but there's a lot that goes into, I think, when you start to dissect pace of play and stuff like that. But, ultimately for me in this team right now, it's about what fits us best. I mean, you guys know my background. We averaged over 90 points a game when I was growing up, and that's in my DNA. So, but, yeah, this is what fits our team, and I'm going to trust Bruce and John and Micah and Quez when they have the ball. to read that situation. And a lot of times, because of the freedom guys are given offensively in our system, it's they have some say in our pace too. Now we're constantly, you'll see, you probably see me over there,
Yes.
at times go, but I think there's a lot that goes into that.
Ask about Bruce. He was so big at the end of the Maryland game, and then I think only 1 point in the second half yesterday. So he takes over the end of one game and then is kind of, invisible, I guess. I don't know what to say at the end of the next game. Just as you reviewed it, what was Nebraska doing maybe to negate his opportunities? And you certainly don't want him forcing things, but when the game's on the line, you also need him involved, it feels like.
Yeah, well, I think there hasn't been a time, Steve, where I felt like Bruce has forced it too much, maybe. I mean, it would have to go way back early in the season to feel like he was forcing it too much. I think he's read the game, and if anything, I think there's times, and even in last night's game, I thought there were a couple times where maybe he could have got to a pull-up that he shot well, kind of in that, below the free throw line area, and passed up a three, I think, in the second half off a ball screen, or they had like a late switch that, he had hit the last couple games and didn't take that shot, for whatever reason, just didn't maybe recognize it in that moment. But also, Nebraska was committing to the ball screen more than what we had seen. Now, we didn't execute our counter to that as well as I wanted us to, and what we had talked about. But their scheme was part of it too, and I think we're seeing different things, right? Like, I talked about on the radio show, like the Illinois game, for example. They were different than what we saw like last night and what we saw against Maryland. So we just, we have to continue. And I was really, I thought we attacked Nebraska's scheme well in the first half. Missed some shots in the second half, especially in the first half of the second half that we certainly could have made, that maybe changes at least the feel of the last 6-7 minutes go. But thought our attack was good. Thought we got some good looks. I was again, the offensive rebounding was disappointing because we had been doing well in that, and then our finishing in the paint, and then there was a stretch we didn't play through the paint enough. But Bruce has to stay aggressive. There's never been a time where I felt like he, doesn't need to. And again, I thought maybe looking back, Steve, honestly, what we could have done is try to get him the ball somewhere outside of the middle third. But their defense, everything they do outside the middle third funnels you to the baseline, and so it was just there were some things there that came into play. So give Nebraska some credit, I guess, is what I'm saying too.
Devin Royal, not sure what the status would be if it's only been 1 day, but you don't play for 2 more days. But are you hopeful that you'll be able perhaps to give it a go Wednesday, or at this early stage, what are you thinking there?
Yeah, the first place I'm going as soon as I leave here is to the training room to see exactly where we're at for today. But Devin was in here this morning and getting worked on, and it's too early to tell, right now. It's just too early to tell, but I think certainly optimistic and hopeful and prayerful that he'll be able to go. And again, he's a tough kid, and he obviously I didn't think it was going to be available at all in the second half, and then became available, and then I just saw it, like we got to get him out, and he wanted to be out there. I think that's the thing. If he can go, he'll go, because he wants to be out there. So, but we'll see. Yeah, I wish I could give you because I'd sleep better at night if I had that answer too, Steve. It'll be
Happier.
It'll be a kind of a day-to-day thing right now.
Seems like every Big Ten game comes with an emotional outcome, win or lose. How would you evaluate how your team's able to reset after each game and not let whatever emotions from the previous game linger?
Yeah, well, I think we're certainly used to it, right? And but I think there's a maturity to this group, and we're connected, and we've stayed consistent, as a staff, win or lose, and really all like we're gonna learn and grow. We have to move on quickly to Washington. There's no question, but we're gonna address and learn and grow from some of the things in the second half, some segments of that second half, like we did in the Maryland game. Even though we won the Maryland game, we still went back and watched and grew and learned from that. So I think our consistency with how we've approached the next day has helped with that. But we have a mature group. Our leaders know, like, listen, everybody's in there. I don't want us not disappointed either in that result yesterday. And I think our guys are disappointed, but we know we got to move on and get the next one. But we won't move on without learning from it, certainly.
And saw you on Friday as Seth was getting honored at Northland. For those that don't know, can you just describe your relationship with him and how he's a guy that maybe your team can kind of emulate to be?
Yeah, so I love Seth, and what an awesome honor, really to be, certainly from a basketball standpoint. You look at, some of the names he's next to, and you think Columbus basketball, and you think Jared Solinger, Ohio State, and for Seth, I think they said was the all-time leading scorer at Northland, is pretty impressive. But I think Seth's path to Ohio State is really special, to be from Columbus, go to Harvard, get a degree, come to Ohio State, get a degree, and just, I know won't go on his whole timeline, but, I just think it's really special, because what I love about Seth is he cares about Columbus and he cares about Ohio State. Like when he was here, and it was when I was recruiting him, and I had known him just from basketball community in Columbus, but when he was transferring from Harvard, he and I were talking all the time, and just that took our relationship, aside from the mutual people we knew very well, took our relationship to another level. And then him being here, what I always just loved about him is this, like, even though he was going through everything he went through physically, right? Like you could feel his care and love for Ohio State. And he and I, we can relate to, like, that's something we share, right? And he battled, that Big Ten tournament run. I just remember Kyle Young going down, and like Seth, you just felt like he wasn't even gonna be able to walk after that first stretch, and he just battled, he just gave so much. But what a cool moment for the Columbus community, the Columbus basketball community, for him to be honored like that. And I've always appreciated, I think, whether you're here for 1 year or you're here for 4 years, or I guess 5 or 6 to some degree, like if you give your all to this program, like you're always a part of the family. And he embodies that, as much as there's really anybody else. So it was cool to be there. A great moment. Got to see a lot of people I hadn't seen in a while. So it was a fun day.
Yeah. At this point in the year, do you make your team, or do you sense that they become more aware of Big Ten standings, all that kind of stuff, or is that still something that maybe we're still too far out to even bring up in the locker room or anything like that?
Yeah, we haven't, at least as a team, talked specifically about the standings, but we've not shied away from the fact that we're in, like, these are meaningful games.
Yeah.
So I guess yes, to some degree, maybe not in like the like specific details, like of watching what all is going on around, like, but we know right now that every single time we step on the court, it is a big game, and it is a meaningful game with like it matters a great deal. And we also embrace that, because like that's what this is all about, right? You want to be in those type of games this time of year, and we're back in that, like we're back in there, right? We got to handle our business, but I also don't want our guys thinking too far ahead. Like Washington needs our full attention, and it's great. Like I know we got a nice stretch where it feels like for the first time ever we were home for 3 games in a row. I know it's not accurate, but it just feels that way, so that's great. Like, but again, it's about Washington right now, and then it'll become about the next one. But yeah, so we're aware, but not in like maybe some of the details of some of that. What's up, Adam?
Hey, Jake.
Hope
Thanks
your little one feels better, man.
Appreciate that. He's sleeping on the couch right now. It's so
Sounds
I'm
nice.
I did want to ask you about, you've talked about Devin, you talked about the forward spot, the center spot. The way this season has kind of evolved and the way that Devin has really emerged as, a high-level player consistently, how has his emergence maybe impacted some of the preseason thoughts of what that rotation might look like with him and Sean and Aaron? Because I think it seems to me that maybe Devin, maybe playing at the level he's played at, has maybe made it harder to get some minutes for Sean at the 4. How has Devin's emergence impacted some of that?
I think it absolutely has. And Devin's, production, scoring certainly, rebounding, getting to the free throw line, all of that has been impactful. I mean, when we started the season, right, you go back to our Texas game, I think, right, we started Sean and Aaron together.
Yeah.
And Devin's emergence is, like, whether who, and sometimes I'm not saying starting is not important. This is not meant to be coach speak, but like it boils down to minutes, right? More important than who's starting. And I think other guys' minutes of what we might have projected has certainly changed. That happens every year on every team. But I do think as far as the forwards go, that's been impactful. And also our ability to maybe play 2 or even sometimes shift Evan or Devin to, kind of the perimeter has been impacted by just our lack of opportunity to practice with those guys together. So, yes, I guess his emergence is certainly has impacted that.
Thank you.
That's it?
Any other thought about
Gary
Washington?
told me one.
Well, if you have one more, I'll give you one more since you were in Lincoln yesterday. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, just Washington in general, new team to the Big Ten, and really no rivalry to speak of. Just I don't know much about Washington basketball. Just what's your take on them, program, team wise, whatever you see there.
Yeah, well, I think, listen, first off, got a lot of respect for Danny, and I've gotten to know him and enjoyed that. I think, there's levels, certainly, but every Big Ten game is really like a rivalry game. You just have to fully embrace even these 4 teams from the West Coast. Like, I don't want our guys looking at, now there's another game that's a different class when it comes to rivalry, certainly, but as far as the other ones go, like this is a big game, and these games will get bigger and more. I think as time goes on and we play each other more and more, the temperature in the room may go up, a little bit. But I got a lot of respect for Danny. I think they're playing well right now. You look at their last 3 games; they're playing well, and he's dealt with some similar things like the newness and kind of putting things together and changing some things as the year's gone on, and I think he's got them in a really good place. So we're expecting them to play their best when they come in here, and he's got them playing tough, and so we got to be our best. But inside, physical, right? Osamor, really good player. Got some guards that are really, really good at getting to the paint and attacking downhill, and then can surround all of that with some shooting.
Mm-hmm.
So. But I actually played at Washington when I was in college, fun fact. I think they got a rich basketball tradition with some of the pros that have come out of there. It's a good basketball program.
Mm-hmm.
Good, Adam?
If I could throw one more at you.
All right, go ahead, yep.
I appreciate it. When you have a season unfold the way you have with, like I was asking about Sean and Devin and kind of how that works, what are those conversations like with a guy like Sean where, I'm sure he didn't, he knew he would play some small ball 5 this year, probably not as much as he has. How do you kind of talk through that as it unfolds? I know guys want to be on the court, and so, no one's upset about playing time, but like, how do you help a guy through a bit of a positional change as the year goes on like that?
Yeah, I think, one, right, his role certainly has changed more than maybe what it looks different than what we intended it to be as far as, you know, where his minutes are going. And, you know, I think for him, it's got to be about winning, and you just got to keep it about winning right now. Be like consumed with impacting winning. We talk all the time about what are you doing to impact winning. When you think about the game, think about ways you could have impacted winning better. Like that's kind of what we talk about. We don't talk about necessarily specific production, but it's about impacting winning. And I think Sean has found a way to do that. He's found a way to do that well. And you know, it's been we've all had to adjust. Everybody's had to adjust the way this year has gone and the hand we've been dealt. But you know, I think he's got to continue. And what that looks like for him is, you know, he's got to continue to be efficient for us in the paint, get to the free throw line. You know, he's shooting free throws well. They're better, and offensive rebounding. I love his aggressiveness defensively, both getting steals. I like him to be more aggressive, blocking shots. But you know, I think the big thing for him has been foul trouble. And you know, if we can get him to be able to get a little bit more of a rhythm game to game, you know, without fouling, that'll be helpful. But it's about winning, Adam, and that's what we're all of us have to be aligned in that. Everybody's got to be focused on that. Again, we've earned the right to play these meaningful games, and now that's what it's all about, just about winning.
Thank you.
All right, thanks guys.
Thank you, Jake.
Have a good